should be going live. We should be about live now.
And can you give the listeners an indication of the part of the month we're in and how close to Christmas we still are? And just, you know, the dates and when this took place, aka this morning.
This post.
Of the part of the month we're in.
There you go. We're live now.
So it's been on my pages for 8 hours already.
Mm-hmm. I'll just share this onto your timeline. So right then, let me just share the screen.
Ruth Davidson?
Who's Ruth? What?
That's the name that has cropped up, like John Patterson and all the critics in the stories that about the corruption and the, you know, the money laundering and the what was the great scandal in London and Edinburgh that was coincident with the Iraqi war, the dead man's boots and everything that Hannah Mary had to dodge as the director of all of those war dead funds.
Right. Sorry about that, John. I'm just trying to set all this up and set that. So right then, we've got. We're live now. Yeah, we're live now, and I've got your page of what you posted this morning 8 hours ago. Yeah. About Boris Johnson.
Could you just run through that and tell the listeners what that covers?
Well, yeah, I'll read it, and I'll read it, and you pause
can you not
me.
Illustrate it by showing the pictures and the names and the fact that they are on the Forbes rich list?
Yeah, I'll go through the whole page. Do you want me to show the photos before? Let's show the photos before we go to the.
Yeah, that's got more impact than anything else, I think.
So the first picture is Wikipedia, Carrie Johnson. So Caroline Louise Bevan
Why
Johnson.
Can't I see it?
It's on live. You can't see what I'm sharing, but it's on live on your. It's live on Facebook now, and it's live on your profile too, because I've shared my.
So explain to me where I find it.
What, the picture? If you look on, well, you'll see me live. So if you'll be on your timeline, you'll see I've shared my live stream right now.
So I need to go to your web pages. I'm on mine at the moment.
If you click on your Facebook page, if you look at your notifications, you'll see that I've just shared a post, which is this live stream that I'm looking at right now. So you can, if you click open it, if you do switch it on, just mute it. So we don't have the background, so it don't echo on us. So when you just switch my live feed, you'll see.
Oh yeah, so there are the photos at the bottom of my post this morning. Yeah. Carrie Johnson PDF.
Yeah. So
her profile.
Yeah, we've got the first one is the Wikipedia, Carrie Johnson, Caroline Louise Bevan Johnson, Nee Simmons, born 17th of March 1988.
I don't want to put the names of those people in until I understand what they're trying to tell me. So there's a character called Alice Atom, and he's sent loads of pictures, but there is no explanation what they are or what they mean.
No, I wasn't going to share those. No, I'm just sharing the pictures that you shared in the post.
Right, good.
Yeah. So
and I can explain those issues about why it's linked to Forbes and why that has been done in secret, and it's been done by other people all across the world using the same people on the Forbes rich list. Mm-hmm. They're like advertising managers on a massive scale, because remember that is billionaires and trillionaires.
Yeah. Right. So.
And that now includes Boris Johnson. But because I've not read the documents, I don't know what the claims are for him. I had to get it all published quick this morning because he's very, very effective at counterintelligence and knocking the top of other people's stories. But yeah, it's so. Can I start describing what I found this morning?
So yeah, did you want me to read it? So I've shared I've shown the photos, but now I'm going to go now. The photos in your post, not on the comments, the ones in your post. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to read from the top. So it's 8 hours ago, your post. This is Boris Johnson, linked to Forbes' Matthew John Simmons, born the 20th December 1953, is a British journalist and, since 2018, the executive director of Larry Ellison Foundation. He was a co-founder of The Independent in 1986. Matthew Simmons, from Wikipedia, the Free Encyclopedia. Matthew Simmons, born Matthew John Simmons, 20th December 1953, aged 68, occupation journalist, known for co-founder of The Independent. Children, 4, including Kerry Johnson. Parents, John Bevan.
So that is the ex-wife of the Prime Minister at the moment.
Correct, yeah.
In London. Yeah. And that is the Independent newspaper. And I think that one had to be changed. They changed the directorates and the editors and things. And was it the Independent that used to have a slitty little moon and a star in the middle of that moon?
I can have a look for that.
When I pointed out that that was the mafia symbol in Fleet Street, they deleted it and it's never been seen again.
Got you. I'll see if I can find it, see if it's on.
Can you remember the newspaper that had a slitty little moon and a star right in the middle of the empty moon?
Yeah, look, see if I can see any images on it.
So shall I continue with Matthew Simmons' profile?
Yes, crack on. Let's go.
So he was born Matthew John Simmons, 20th December 1953, age 68, occupation journalist, known for founder of The Independent. He has 4 children, including Carrie Johnson, one of the wives of Boris, and the parents are John Bevan, B-E-A-V-A-N, Baron Ardwick, the father, and Anne Simmons is the mother. Relatives are Boris Johnson, son-in-law, currently the guilty party player and the leader of our nation in the Conservative Party in, I think it'll be his 3rd term in office, back to back. That about right?
16. So, well, he took over. What's it made in his? So, well, go with that. I'm not sure on that.
Yeah. So that Matthew John Simmons, born 20th December 1953, is a British journalist and since 2018 the executive director of the Larry Ellison Foundation. Now, none of your readers will have heard of him before, but he's on the top 20 on the Forbes rich list, always has been. And he's been involved in scams and sponsorship of British companies and of the MPs in the Parliament building, which Boris leads in his characteristic way. And that is the MP for Blackpool was Harold Ellison, and that was the husband of a woman called Rebecca Stronmeyer, who's been my Facebook friend for over a decade. She works in Darkest Africa, and that is that she's based in Berlin, and all of it is like a mafia operation. She used to have hundreds of friends on Facebook, but it's now down to her, last half dozen. I first met her. She got off a helicopter, and in they were in the Tweed Valley that we keep mentioning, right opposite where the 3-day events were. You remember the stories I told you about Camilla's love child, Simon Day?
In Australia.
Yeah, well, Simon Day's Charles and Camilla's love child, and he's spent a lot of his life in Australia, but he's also been all over Britain, and he's pretending that he's still trying to find his parentage and proof of it. But he believes that he is the daughter of Camilla, and that is just with the accents alone. But he's not really important in this. It's just the use of the Forbes rich listers and the ganging up of the propaganda on what they're doing in that Forbes rich list. It's quite dangerous for you and me to be declaring this, because these are the most ruthless people in the world, because they have to make sure that is all of it is like a top secret organization, which is why they scam the MPs for Blackpool that have the sound alike names. So Harold Ellison was the MP for Blackpool and the husband of Rebecca Strunmeyer in that first scam in Blackpool. Yeah. And then they're no longer married, or he no longer got elected in Blackpool. So they've had to change the deal. And now Larry Ellison is being declared as the executive director of the foundation. He's the boss of the company on Forbes that is Oracle. Yeah, he's a co-founder of the Independent in 1986. So he's always had an interest in it, in the newspapers. And those are the newspapers that have been put together by people like Rupert Murdoch. And we've explained who the editor is in this one. But let's keep going. Born in 1953, Simmons is the son of John Bevan, and this is the Larry Ellison Foundation. If any of your readers want to see him, look up the top 100 on Forbes, and you'll see that Larry Ellison is a rich, rich man, and he's the boss at Oracle, his corporate. Yeah, he was a co-founder of the Independent. This is Boris's relatives again. Born in 1953, Simmons is the son of John Bevan, who at the time was London editor of The Guardian, Reference 3, and BBC World Service broadcaster Anne Simmons. He worked for the Mirror Group, that's another one of the crooked papers, the Financial Times and the Daily Telegraph, which he joined in November 1981 as an economics leader, writer, before in 1986 becoming a co-founder of the Independent, Reference 5, with Andreas Whittam Smith and Stephen Glover. The three had worked together at the Daily Telegraph and had all left the newspaper towards the end of Lord Hartwell's ownership of it. After leaving the Independent, Simmons was appointed as strategy director of BBC World Service Television. Then from 1996 to 2018 was on the staff of The Economist. While there, he would receive the Wincott Prize for financial journalism. I don't know how you define financial journalism. Could you guess at that?
Financial, well, yeah. Well, no.
In 1998, and went on to serve as the magazine's political editor and technology editor before his last job for it as defense and diplomatic error. So that is way before the wars in Ukraine, and that is 1998 and the turn of the millennium. Yeah, and I think we were in Iraq, and brutalizing everywhere else, further royal at that time, under the names Bush and Blair. Simmons said of himself in 1996 that he was an economic liberal, believing in the market, but also in individual liberty and freedom. He wrote that the only way in which you can find efficient and humane solutions to problems is to give people as much information, as much power over their lives as possible. So this is the wife of Boris Johnson, one of his first ones, and that is not being released as information, nor has the ambitious linkage to Forbes been released by anyone until this morning. Simmons has a wife and 3 children. In 1988, he had a daughter, Carrie Simmons. Do you get that for the New World Order? Who is the famous Carrie that went before? Star Wars team. Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher, yeah.
You're working too hard, son.
Yeah. I've got so much on my mind. To be truthful, I'm on a fry down at the moment. My head's fried at the moment. Just so much going on. Just so much going on from all different angles. Like, I need a break.
So he had a daughter, Carrie Simmons. This is Simmons' wife and 3 children, with Josephine McAfee. That's famous in corporate world too, but I can't remember what it is. That's just her surname though. A lawyer at the Independent. Their daughter is now married to Prime Minister Boris Johnson. And that sentence begins with, in 1988, he had a daughter, Carrie Simmons. Their daughter is now married to Prime Minister Boris Johnson. I think that is unlikely to be the case now, but that is the reporting of those papers that they used to work for.
Yeah.
Selected publication, Soft War, an intimate portrait of Larry Ellison and Oracle, his company, on Forbes. Simon and Schuster, and then ISBN. This is the reference for the backup to those statements. That's 2003 ISBN 978-0743225052, and then in square brackets, reference 9. The references are Mr. Matthew John Simmons at Company Check, which is what me and Gordon Bowden used to use in checking out who was running which corporates and where, how many directors they had, and all of it is more and more difficult to find now. And even the American websites that allow you to search for the directorates on the corporates, that used to be called the Little Sis website, but now you have to be a paying member to get access to it.
See, they're taking the searches down now as well. They're removing the searches.
Can you speak up a bit or turn the volume up a wee bit?
Say the Companies House, they're removing the searches soon as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But John Patterson and I used to get huge mileage from it. Yeah. Even for my wife's, the little scams that they used to try and make their pocket money from.
Mm-hmm.
All of them agents for Rothschilds that were within my range. Yeah, and they've wreaked havoc in most of the towns that I've lived in the last decade. Mr. Matthew John Simmons at Company Check, accessed 24th June 2019. So here is Anne Simmons, a broadcaster. She's passed on, and that is an obituary in the Daily Telegraph on the 6th of March 2017. Then there's Terence Lancaster, obituary for Lord Ardwick. I've never heard of him. The Independent, 19th of August 1994. Then you get 2018, Simmons, Matthew John, born 20th December 1953, Executive Director, Lawrence Ellison Foundation. So that is Larry Ellison, the MP for Blackpool, the wife of Stronmaier, yeah, who's in Darkest Africa, yeah, doing the commerce in all the poor places. And we've talked about things like mercy ships, which are run by Scotland's richest family, that is the Souters and Angloag, and they run the medics into Africa, and the women in childbirth do not even have anesthetics, so they can have cesarean operations. All of that was published in my website when the Queen rendered me a mental health case. Yeah, all those folk in Africa have suffered ever since, and that is the richest folk in Scotland that are Souter and his sister, that is Angloag. They have their massive mansions in Perth and just up the road, and the lakes are about 3 or 4 times the size of Wembley. There's Director Lawrence Ellison Foundation since 2018, Who's Who and Who Was Who. 24th July 2019, Isabel Wolff, WOLFF, How We Met. So FF is very popular in the pan-continental scams, as you now know, from Pfizer and Pfizer and everything that happened when the coronavirus drugs were being introduced, and the injections and the screening for infection. Isabel Wolff, How We Met, The Independent, dated with 18th February 1996, accessed 24th June 2019. Now we get to Stephen Glover, The Independent, Reflections on the Last 20 Years, in The Independent, dated 6th October 2006, accessed 24th June 2019. Matthew Simmons, IISS, SS is secret society usually, but I don't know what IISS stands for, but this one, Simmons, is a trustee of it at IISS.org.
Independent Individual Secret Society.
Access 24th June 2019, Dominic Midgley. Now there was a Dominic who was a troublemaker in the cabinet. He slipped out of the cabinet very easily, but he used to live in the place that is the most earthquake-prone place in England, and it's on Teesside, and it became a colonial mansion when we got to New Zealand, and in New Zealand, it was the most earthquake-prone place for decades, and my kids went there, and they were so courageous that they walked across one of those Indy Jones rope bridges. You remember that in the Indy Jones movie?
Yeah.
So, Carrie Simmons, the steely blonde who's whipped Boris into shape, dated 14th June 2019 at theexpress.co.uk. I forget who the director at the Express is. No, I can't remember either. Matthew Simmons at simonandschuster.com. Authors, access 24th June 2019. Categories, 1953, births, 20th century British journalists, 21st century British journalists, alumni of Balliol College, which is the place in Teesdale, which is the most earthquake-prone place in Britain, which is why the people went to Australia, but the earthquakes followed them. So it's the most earthquake-prone place. It's on the Pennine Way, and that is my first visit to Balliol College on Teesside. And I get a terrible memory that it used to belong to Gerald Grosvenor, or one of those people that was in that super rich list of families. And he's got Gerald Grosvenor. I forget what the name of the aristocrat was that was in the massive mansion, but he's famous in the history of universities in the UK, and it's on the Pennine Way, and that is how I visited it first. But my wife, who worked in Intel, as soon as we got there, she wanted out of the car. She went into the grounds of the mansion. And what was the name of the person that was fighting with the rest of the cabinet? Dominic Cummings.
Cummings, oh yeah.
Yeah. So he's from Balliol College Region 2. And John de Balliol is the man that carved up Scotland when Longshanks conquered us. Did you know that?
No, I didn't, mate.
Yeah, that is, Scotland will never ever have its own king or queen. And I don't want to get into that because it's such a long story already. Yeah. But we've made multiple videos in it in the last 2 years with Patterson and with Sean Maguire. Yeah. So Balliol College, Oxford, that is John de Balliol was given the Scottish kingdom by Longshanks as a piss-take. And it's still that aristocratic mansion, and you can see why the gods choose it as the most quake-prone place in this country. And it was the same. The people that introduced me to the concept that there was a Balliol College in England, they told me that the biggest earthquakes that happened were in the Balliol College in New Zealand. And it was in a gully that had been created, and that is why the rope bridges like Indy Jones were covering that gully. It was terrifying as the parent of those kids. So that is Balliol College, Oxford, and the stealing of Scotland by Longshanks, and the proclamation that John de Balliol was the king. It's all in the Robert the Bruce movies. That's Executive Financial Times, and that is why Cummings fucked off. Sorry, departed quickly.
You just sort this cat out.
Sorry, John. What did you say?
The cat was moaning. Was giving me grief. My cat was giving me grief.
All right. So let's go down to the rest of the summary descriptor.
So we're at
current events, random articles about Wikipedia. Contact us. Download as PDF, which I did this morning, at least for Kari. And there is the downloaded PDF at the bottom of that text now. Yeah. And it's downloaded for carriejohnson.pdf. This page was last edited on 1st of May 2022, which is this week. Mm-hmm. Yep. Isn't it lovely? Yeah. And the text is available under the Creative Commons. Yeah, can you see the chaos that they've created? Attribution, share alike license 3.0. Additional terms may apply. By using this site, you agree to the terms of use and privacy policy. That is the Prime Minister that had a viciously evil Christmas party wanting us to keep quiet about his current activities since the 1st of May in this year. That's 4 days ago. By using this site, you agree to the terms of use and privacy policy. That's Wikipedia's statement, and it's got the letter R in a circle. Wikipedia R is a registered trademark of the Wikimedia Foundation, Inc., a non-profit organization. So how does it work at Wikipedia? In the old days, you sent in a paper or a preliminary document, and they were able to read it for you. If you infringed any of their legal, or even the content thing, they would refuse to publish it. But I don't know if it's as efficient and businesslike like that now.
Yeah, I mean,
do you send things to them?
I've never sent, but I know that you can update and it asks you for, certain on certain
I frequently download to get the profiles for the people that are in the New World Order and the new leaders that are appearing all over Eastern Europe now, and even the decimated government in Germany. It's all been done in the space of less than 2 months. So by using this site, you agree to the terms of use and privacy policy. Wikipedia R is a registered trademark of the Wikimedia Foundation, Inc., a non-profit organization. And there is the download as a PDF, and there is Carrie Johnson peeking into the nozzle of the camera. And I think she was the first wife. But if your listeners want to find out, just download Carrie Johnson's Wikipedia profile, and you can read it at your own leisure and keep it in your own archives. Yeah, so that is something. Republican Army at the top. Can you see that bit?
Irish Republic Army.
So goodness knows what that is.
I don't know, yeah, I don't know.
This is Boris's social life. It's not even his cabinet members. But can you see why they've picked Carrie and Johnson? Yeah. Yeah. And Carrie is the New World Order, and that is Carrie Fisher. And Lord, what is the Nazi that came out of Germany and into the Star Wars team?
Oh.
Everybody knows him. He's fearsome to look at, and he's with he's with Lord Jacob Rothschild's in the photos.
Oh.
So we will exterminate. No, it wasn't exterminate.
You're same guy who played the Bishop of Bath, was it?
He's always been an aristocrat in America since he left Germany in the war. Arnie Schwarzenegger, Star Wars actor and millionaire from his Hollywood career and his business interests in America. And he's a close relative of the people that were in Hitler's bunker in the last few days. That is von Lotharingen, and they were in the Hitler's bunker, and that is the faking up of the names that are used in the Lord of the Rings, so that everybody gets confused with that. The director at the Lord of the Rings is the launch of the scandal that is the director at the Lord of the Rings is the same as the thing that we've just gone through with the sex islands, and I forget the name of the person that was the director of the Lord of the Rings, but all of it is the same families, and they're all using the same methods to get their publicity through Forbes, and that is obviously the best way to do it. But so in the pictures, it's Lord Jacob Rothschild, the boss at I can't mind, Tesco, I think it is, and he's Warren Buffett. That is the top half dozen on the rich list. Lord Jacob Rothschild, Warren Buffett, and that one, Arnie Schwarzenegger, all of them shaking hands after they'd escaped from the war and become the richest bankers in the world. I don't know if Schwarzenegger has actually done that to the same extent as Lord Jacob Rothschild, but all of it is the top. The one that is the supermarket owner, Warren Buffett, he's on the Forbes rich list in the top half dozen. So that is the end of the article as it was published this morning. There are 8 comments and 4 shares, and some of them are just understandable because they've not been given labels or explanations. And I don't know the people who have sent them too well, so I don't think we'll put them in until I can get their slant on what they were trying to tell me about what happened. So that is, well, you remember when Boris started in the last regime when he won the election, and he then began to get married to several different people, even within the same year. And that is because he's the Lord Mayor of London. He's in the tax haven that is the Lord Mayor of London. He always has been in that. And that is Lord Mayor, like the Rothschild family. And that is the Mayor Rothschild. And that is the joke. And even the Hollywood companies, the Metro Goldwyn Mayer, all of it gets the Rothschild logo in the end. And that is why Boris wanted to be the mayor. He gets £250,000 when he takes that on, and he gets a massive mansion somewhere near Lord Mountbatten before they assassinated Lord Mountbatten. What else do we want to know?
Truthful, I've got other. I think that's cleared it up. I mean, you've put it out. You've explained it well. So I think.
So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it at that because I've got 2 other things. There's some other questions that someone I've got to go and do something else. But I've also got a meeting at 10 o'clock.
If people want to look at my website or yours, there will be a conjoint version of what we've just done, and everything that I posted this morning will be on the early part of that. Is that correct?
But everything you've gone through the whole lot. So I'm gonna I'm gonna click. I'll put that in the comments anyway. So,
and if anybody wants to see the details of these families and the people that now run the newspapers in Fleet Street, what was the joke about Fleet Street? When Rupert Murdoch had his wedding there, it's the most fire-prone place in London because that is where the most lies come from. That's the Fleet Street operation run by Murdoch, and all of his lovers are in the team, like the one that we're talking here. And the Johnsons are massive. So you need to read the history of his family life and how they connect to the launch of World War II, the killing of the Ataturk on the Hume Bridge, which is no longer in the descriptors for the execution of the Ataturk, the Hume Bridge, and the MP for Coldstream, who had to resign because his name was Jim Hume. All of it was explained that the Hume Bridge was where the assassination took place. All of that has been deleted, and all of the people that were the killers in that situation were actually the people who inhabited the massive mansion where the son of the Archduke was killed in his bed with his girlfriend. Nobody knows whether that was a rich family that might live in Hertfordshire now. Can you guess? Are you still there?
I'm still here, yeah. I'm still here. I'll let you.
So that is the launch of World War I, and then the Ataturks come in, and that is Boris's family for 4 generations. Wow. That's Kamal and everything that we've talked about in those straight videos on YouTube and on Facebook and stuff. Can you remember the Kamal stories and how Sir Johnson's real name is Pfeffer, and that is in the female side of the line where Carrie is prominent, and that is the Pfeffer. And I can't remember how the Johnson family were involved in the hanging of the man under the London Bridge. Can you remember those? That is back in the late 19th century.
What was that about?
I can't remember, but it was on Thames side, next to the what is the place where you're waiting to be hung? The Tower.
Yeah.
So there was a corpse hung under the bridge. If you listen to our earlier videos on Boris Johnson being on Adolf Hitler's family tree, that's got 5,000 hits since we published it, and many of them are migrating through Britain at the moment. You should see the pubs and the folk with exactly the same facial structures as the people. Miles Mathis has profiled what the families were in Germania. His output is absolutely fabulous, but they keep deleting it even from my web pages. That's the videos that have got over 5,000 hits now. And that is what launched the coronavirus when they panicked, when we started to explain the names of the Heidler families that are actually Hitler. That is Walt Disney, is his cousin. Yeah, and all of it is a mafia op right across Europe, right through both of those wars and those massacres. And Boris is related to the Ataturks and I made videos about 20 years ago explaining how the jokes in Gallipoli were the same as the wooden top men in Watch with Mother every lunchtime when you were under 5 years old. And that is the wooden tops. And they were dancing around on strings using the flower pots as their fezzes. Should we stop there?
Yeah, we will there. The fezzes have got a lot. Looks like you've got a fez
Young
in the
mothers,
background.
please do not let your kids watch it.
Yes, indeed. If only would have known, eh? We used to watch.
Yeah, well, I used to love it.
Yeah.
And that is Here We Go, Looby Loo.
Yeah.
And it was all when they popped up out of the beer barrel, they had their hats on upside down, just like the fez that is depicted. When you look up Boris Johnson's ancestry, you'll find that everything is one of the wars that came out of Austria-Hungary, and that is the massacre that is World War I, and the killing of the Archduke by a family from Hertfordshire. I will not say any more, otherwise I may not be able to get up in the morning. Yeah, do you understand that they killed the Archduke in his bedroom with his lover, and that became the Rothschilds' hunting lodge within 3 years? Yeah, you get the picture.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Thanks for your help, son.
Yeah. God bless you, George.
Cheers, Andy.
Take care now. God bless all.
And will you see to it so that even a dimwit like me, when I go to my webpage, I can start playing the videos and seeing what we've produced?
Yeah, no, yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
we did it for ages with the policing issues and Prince Harry's love life. Yeah. Several weeks back to back. But please don't get too analytical if you don't understand the point that the commentators are making, because that then gets really obstructive. And that was when we got stuck on Prince Harry's lovers being actresses remember, all of that was designed to cover up the fact that the massacres in India, where Sunak in the cabinet comes from, he's still recording.
Yeah.
So that is Sunak, who's Indian. He's one of the richest men in Britain, which is why he's the chancellor in Boris's regime. and that was Lord Curzon is the relative of the lover of Prince Harry's girlfriend. Prince Harry's girlfriend was Cressida Bonas, and she's the one that was supposed to be a journalist, but it got all confused because those people that just want to mix the story up and make it confusing put in their own comments, and at that point the whole of the storytelling became decimated. But Lord Curzon, his lookalike is a man called Barry Clapham, who used to live for a whole year in the town that I lived in, that is Coldstream, and that is the man that refused to say to me that he looked like Lord Curzon, who commissioned the massacre at Amritsar. And can you understand why he refused to acknowledge that he was anything to do with that? He's the one that gave me Princess Anne's phone number. Yeah, and now, because he's a snitch for the New World Order, he's delivering ice cream in the van that plays those lovely tunes. Do you understand which tune the Rothschilds have used for that?
Oh, go on.
If you go down to the woods today, you're sure of a big surprise. That is the Rothschild family method of making them look like pleasant people that are not serial killers in all of the wars, so that the Ataturks die in their beds and in their canals under the Hume Bridge that is no longer there because Jim Hume resigned, and the whole of it is exactly the same as everything in politics fails to work now. How did the election go in your place?
I don't know. I've not watched it.
God bless you.
There is no government. They don't exist in my mind, and they're all.
Well, can you see how cheap shot all of this is?
Yeah.
And he's been quite brazen about getting so many wives so quickly. And when they are becoming the Lord Mayors, they get the massive mansions. And that is why Field McConnell's family have been using the mansions that Lord Mountbatten used when he was busy killing the true King of England, who was in Portugal at that time. And that is the Saldanha killings in Commoner Kate's birthing chamber. And that is Saldanha, who is the decimated family in Portugal that had to take the fall because Marcus Manuel was born and raised. And that is the true King of England. And all of that is the islands in the Channel that are Mount San Michel. And the last videos that Greg Hallett made in his career, he had he was already on the Liverpool care pathway, and they had to put Prince Philip in intensive care too, because I believe the gods got him. Any more?
That's good. That's good. I've got to go. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much then, George.
Thanks for your help, Andy.
God bless you, George. God bless everyone. Take care then.
So can you turn me off?
I will do.
So that
I will do. I'll switch you off now then, George. Okay.
Thanks, Andy.
Take care, George. Bye-bye. I don't know if anyone can still see. I mean, obviously it's still showing me that the video is finished. So I mean, I've not. I don't know what you've seen. Hopefully you've seen it all, and I'll end it at that. I've got something else to do now. So God bless. Keep smiling, and like I say, my mind's blown, and to listen to all that as well, it's phenomenal, isn't it? To know what's how we've the world's a stage. The world is a stage. God bless. Bye bye for now.